Welcome to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast, recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois. We're all about thriving marriages and living free from alcohol. Welcome to episode 102 for March 31st, 2025.
Well, hello there, childrens. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely and freshly washed, fluffy hair Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I'm good. If you're watching the tubes of Yube,
She got the Farrah Fawcett big hair going on.
I got some big hair today.
Big hair.
Big hair.
Big hair for a big podcast. We have an awesome interview coming up.
We do. So excited.
Yes, so stay tuned
I mean,
for that.
it's exciting to have like another great person.
I know. You've just been on a roll, Amy. Finding these awesome people.
I'm trying, Matt.
I know. You are trying. I give you an A for effort.
I'm going to just shout this out to people. If you are alcohol-free, sober in that world, that realm, and you are looking for community in business, the Sober Hive. Just putting that there. If you want more information, reach out to Amy.
There you go. I was thinking if you were going to say, if you know somebody cool who should be on the podcast,
yes,
let us know.
Yes, that too.
Amy at jointherside.com. Soon to be a new URL.
I know.
Stay tuned, kids.
Ooh.
Can't share that just yet, but anyway, you can always like, subscribe, do all those cool things. Amy, what about this Beyond Spirits thing? What's that?
That's our guide, our 7 tips for starting your alcohol-free journey.
And you can also download our weekly marriage meeting guide. We did that yesterday.
We did. And you know what? We do it. We try to do it every week. I'm going to just keep telling people that you need to have at least one intentional, like, sit-down meeting.
Yes.
With your spouse.
You don't have to use our guide, but...
Or your significant.
Or your insignificant others. You know, that may be helpful in some ways. I don't know how, but maybe.
But I think it's really, to touch base, to see how, you're each handling things. Yeah. So
what's going good? What's challenging you? How can I support you? How can I be there for you?
Yeah.
By recording a podcast. That's how I can be here right now.
Well, and this is part of our connection. Each week,
like
every couple, we consider this a date.
Yeah.
We're going on another date.
We are. We're going to go see a movie.
We're going to go see a movie today.
Yeah, if the tornado doesn't take out the movie theater. It'd be just like the movies then.
It's not
a drive-in.
It's not a drive-in, which there's pretty much no drive-ins anymore.
We have one over in Gibson City, Illinois. You can go to the drive-in.
There you go.
But kids, you hear about it in this interview too, but Coach Amy is 5 years AF. That's alcohol-free if you don't know. High five for that.
High five. That is so crazy and surreal. And I did put it in my newsletter. Oh. Also, if you don't subscribe to our newsletter, please reach out. We'll get you set up. I don't spam people.
No, you're lucky if you get anything.
I try to get it out once a week.
And you're very kind to say our newsletter because you do all the work on it. So,
but
I proof it.
Yes, you sign off on it.
I sign off on it. That's
sign
true.
off. But 5 years.
Who would have thought?
So crazy. And what I wanted to bring up is, all the excitement around it because I am proud of myself.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that a half a decade.
Who would have thought?
I'm almost to how long I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
I'm almost to how long I struggled, nearly,
Yeah.
I think it was 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Is when
thinking about it.
Trying, all of that. Yeah, that whole thing. And to have 5 years, that's weird.
That is
It's kind of crazy. But I also wanted...
But here, kids, those who are like, I can never get to 5 years. How'd you do it, Amy? One day at a time.
I think... at the beginning, definitely.
Oh, right.
Until you set into that...
But you didn't set forward to 5 years.
I never set to... No.
Let's try and get to tomorrow. Let's try and get to next week.
I just wanted to get to 21 days so I could go back to drinking.
Like Austin in our last podcast, right? Austin's like, I want to do 100 days.
Yeah,
and I did another 100,
And you just...
Do a day, then do 2 days, whatever.
And I think also one of the things with it is the gamification that I did.
Yep.
Like, okay, I did this. And celebrating it. And be like, hey, oh my gosh, I've made 10 days. I remember that one distinctly. Oh my gosh, double digits without drinking. That was like
I will warn you, it may send your marriage on a health journey. Now I go to the gym, I exercise, and all this
You're
crap.
listening to health
geez.
podcasts.
I tell you.
You're lifting weights.
I know I'm huge. But speaking of huge, Amy, I want to talk about this
No,
beer.
you forgot.
What? What'd I forget?
I wanted to put on there one thing I wanted to
didn't
talk
put
about.
In the notes. That's how
I did too. If you read that right there, 5 years.
Oh, triggers. Okay.
So I wanted to
yield 1
say
minute
a
triggers.
couple of weeks, I think actually probably a week before my anniversary, seriously, the thought came up. Triggered from the weather turning nice. This is going to happen.
yeah.
And it did come up. It's like, this would be a great day to have a drink. And I was like, what in the world? Where is that coming from? Like, then I had this whole like crazy talk in my head going, you're an alcohol freedom coach. This is what you help people do. And you're sitting here wanting to have a drink. What is going on? Well, remember, everybody, just because you think it doesn't mean you have to act on it, doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. And so I captured that thought and said, nope, I don't think that's really what is the best thing for me.
And if you do it long enough, then it's like...
And it was quick.
And if you wanted to do it, now you would have had to like drive to the store, find
my
some
gosh.
wine. By the time you got that, you would have been like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So.
And I just, then also, then playing it forward, all the tools that you and I am playing it forward. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yes, I love debilitating anxiety. Oh yes,
But we were 2 and 3 years into it when we went to Disney and found Epcot to be a trigger, right?
It was. So it was just a weird thing that I thought, out of nowhere. But I've had this come up with clients, a lot of times it'll happen around 60 days, 18 months. I mean, it can come out of nowhere, but it doesn't mean that you have to act on that.
That is very true.
The other thing is yesterday I had a bad day. Had a really off day, it was not good. But I just want to encourage you, when you have those bad days, let it play out. Don't, that would have been a day where I would have been like, yes, let's have a drink. You know what? Let's go for cocktails at noon, and
which have then made Sunday a bad day.
Oh gosh. And so anyways, with that being said, give it if you're having a trigger, a moment, a mood, let it just play out. Ask for help, ask for support. Just say, hey, I'm having a bad day, or can you help me with this? This is what's happening. And
just go skipping through Sam's Club. That fixed it for you.
And then, well, I will tell you, I think music helps.
Yep.
And
embarrassing your husband helps.
Saying, you know what? Okay, nip this in the bud. We're
no more pity parties. Like, you can be in a bad mood, but there's no a bad mood in a pity party.
Well, there's also the point where you can take a thought and a feeling, and if you keep going in that, ruminating in it, that does create a mood, and the mood can last longer, and you don't want that. And I knew that chances were that today, after a good night's sleep, I would feel better.
And there you are.
And I did. I woke up and I'm like, how do you feel? I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better.
Well, Coach Amy, I'm in a mood to talk about this beer.
All right, let's talk about the drink of the week.
I've seen this drink advertised, but I've never seen it in our store. It's Deschutes, and they make regular beer too. This is their Black Butte. Looks like Black Butt, but Black Butte.
That's what I called it.
It is a porter.
Butt. I called it a butt.
It's a cool can. And I actually went to their website literally just now. They have
Where are they out of?
I'm guessing by the mountains. I'm guessing Colorado. Bend, Oregon. No, Bend, Oregon.
Nice.
They have a couple other NAs. Actually, you don't sell online right now. A Patagonia partnership with a beer too. So I would it's solid. I'm not even a dark beer person.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Nice little smoky. I guess smoky.
I like the bite at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It had a good bite.
Different from your banana one from.
I know, man, that banana.
I know. So yeah, that's
the banana.
The banana. Yeah, it's got a weird name too.
Manana.
Leave it to Go
something.
Brewing. But if you do want a Go Brewing discount, we always have that link down below, kids.
Sure do.
Coach Amy, tell me about Alaura and our interview.
Okay. Our guest today is Alaura Sicking, and she is a 34-year-old who has been proudly sober for 5 years. She currently resides in Texas with her husband and her 16-month-old daughter. So she's in the throes of it. Mm-hmm. She is also the founder of Above, a sober relationship app for friendship and dating. She designed the app to connect with to connect individuals who have embraced their sober lifestyle. And in her free time, she enjoys exploring art, visiting museums, spending time outdoors, and I am sure also spending time with that sweet little baby of hers.
All right, well, let's get to this interview right now about this cool new app.
Oh, we are so excited. Alaura Sicking is here with us, and she's from Ohio, correct?
Originally, yes.
Yeah, and you have an app called Above, which is a relationship, friendship dating app.
Sober dating app.
Sober dating app.
Yes.
And we are so excited to have you on, Matt. Probably now about maybe a
Probably a
month.
month ago now, because we were behind the times.
You were looking and you're like, oh, hey, let's do a podcast. And you were like, booze news. And you're, oh my gosh. And I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, I'll reach out. And the beauty of socials and this community of supporting each other, you were like, yeah, I'd love to be on. So thank you so much. We're excited. And we'll just kind of jump in. I've already kind of jumped in about like where you're originally from, but tell us where you're at now. Where you live at, and if you have family, and then I'll ask the next question.
Thank you for laying it out so clearly.
Well, I'll say thank you for having me. I am so grateful to be here. Really, I'm so excited. You're my first podcast.
Awesome. Oh wow.
Here. Don't get your hopes up too high, but okay. Thank you.
You're my first podcast. I've done little mini interviews and things, but this is like my first full podcast. So thanks. This is exciting.
Right. Awesome. We'll send you a report card afterwards.
Yes. So where are you at right now?
I currently live in Texas. I'm originally from Ohio, Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati area. Then I lived in North Carolina for 10 years, Charlotte area. And then I moved to Texas I guess it was right before COVID, December 2019.
Okay. And you're married?
I am married. I've been married since 2023. I'm like, no, awesome. 2022. I have to think. I'm like, what year was my daughter born? Go back, So awesome. 2022, I had our daughter in 2023. And it's just been the best.
Aww, good. And so tell us a little bit. We like to kind of dive in. Tell us your story with your relationship with alcohol.
It started pretty early, to be completely honest. I started drinking in high school. My mother passed away when I was 14. We were hit by a drunk driver, and she unfortunately didn't make it. And from that point on, I really honestly just spiraled. I mean, I really, truly spiraled. I lived in a very rural area then in Ohio where there wasn't much to do except, drink. And so that's just what we did. So I started partying very early on in high school, and it just progressed after that. Drinking led to other substances, and those substances just kept me in a pretty vicious loop for a while.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about your mom. I know that has got to be something that was really, it's devastating.
Yeah, it's devastating. And I think when you're young and you don't know how to process trauma, and you're just trying to like figure out life, I think you just gravitate to things that's like, okay, here's this quick, simple release. I feel good. Like, I feel like myself, so I think it's just something that sort of progressed from that.
Sure.
It's sort of counterintuitive too. You'd kind of, my knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, you have a parent who died by a drunk driver. You would not want to go down that road of, that substance,
Yeah.
But at the same time, the quote unquote relief it provides is the trigger, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think I've had that thought so many times. I was so against drunk drivers. I mean, from that moment on, my life has changed, and I'm obviously still against drunk drivers. That has not changed.
Yes.
But, it's like I was so fine with like drowning my feelings in alcohol. No problem. That was okay. That's acceptable because society's like, oh, you've had a long day or you're stressed out. Here's a drink. This is how you cope with this, So it's sort of funny how it all happened that way.
Yeah. So That you had that you've had this horrible tragedy with losing your mom. You get into that cycle of other substances, alcohol. Um, how did that progress? Did you attend college? Like what was your drinking like through your 20s? Because you're really, I mean, in our you were young to have gone through this already and to be, so like this is what I'm doing. And I think what you're like 34?
34, I can't believe it. Yes, 34.
You're so young.
Yeah.
Just let me tell you that.
I think, when I was in high school, I started doing other substances in high school too. And I think that alcohol just became almost like the lesser of the two evils, I tried cocaine in high school and dabbled in that. And I started smoking weed and all the things, And then when I graduated high school and lived on my own, I was still with that huge party group of friends that I made, obviously, and I never learned how to properly drink. When we drank, it was like you just get as drunk as possible. Like that's just what you do. There is no, oh, let's just enjoy a glass of wine. It's let's have a bottle of wine. And then we're
Mhm.
going to get a bag of cocaine. And then we're going to try some mushrooms. And then, oh, somebody has ecstasy. So for me, alcohol was always just you drink it to get as drunk as possible. And that's
Mm,
that's how it was. I mean, until I quit drinking almost 5.5 years ago. I never really learned how to pace myself. Every time I would drink, it would just light a fire in me.
mm.
Have one drink and it was like, all right, here we go. Like, let's have several more.
Yeah. And what brought you to finally decide, I've got to change what I'm doing?
I think, I didn't drink every day. I never woke up craving alcohol. I never did drugs every day. But when I did, it was just so taxing on me mentally and physically. I mean, I lived in downtown Charlotte where all you do is party. My significant other at the time was wildly successful, but is definitely a functioning alcoholic. So
Mm.
we would just go out on a Tuesday night, end up at the club, like crazy things, order a bottle, end up taking ecstasy, and I would just be so hungover and unproductive all the time. I mean, it was just this vicious cycle. I'm like, I'm wasting my life and my days just being hungover and then going out the next night and rinse repeat. It was this cycle of just doing nothing. Like, and it's so normal. It's so normal of just, oh, that's just what you do when you're young and you live in the city. You party as hard as you can. But I honestly just hit my breaking point. I one night drank too much and tried to drive, and it was just the most surreal moment of my life. I was like, what WTF? Like, I am literally the person that I hate right now. So, like, this has got to change, So, I think that was the final straw. And then from there, I just kind of like phased it out of my life.
Oh gosh. So you didn't like get into any program or anything like that or
No, I think the fact that I was so, I I mean, I was so out of it. I was trying to drive my car. I was trying to do the one thing that took away the most important person in my life
oh.
at the time. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Mhm.
that was just such a wake up for me. It was like, holy cow, I could have killed someone.
Mhm.
Killed someone. I could have killed myself. I could have killed someone. And so I was just like, this is insane. And I didn't go to a program, but I wish I had.
Mm.
Mhm.
So did you cuz what I've learned myself as being a coach is that you have a lot of unprocessed pain. I
Mm,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean that and so really no matter what, even though we're saying that we're partying to, have fun or different things like that, it's really, I think the volume and how we do it, it does all tie back to moments in our past. And I would even just say that you doing this, like walking away from this, I think it takes so much strength.
Yeah, it was a really really, really big decision to do it. I left my ex, I left all my friends, I mean, I had to walk away. It was like, I remember sitting on the couch and being like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to break up with this person who's been my life for 5 years. I'm going to have to leave all my friends. I'm going to have to move to a new area in the city. Like, I am going to have to do this on my own. And I did. And it was hard. It was really, really hard.
Mm. And so, like, your job, so you were able to produce, I mean, somewhat being hungover and that, and you didn't do it all the time, but tell us about, like, how many times during the week do you think you were doing this?
Oh gosh, I mean, several, if there's 7 days in the week, I was doing it 3 or 4, but in those 3 or 4 days a week, I mean, there'd be random nights I was trying to find Suboxone and drink a bottle of wine, and then a random Tuesday night, I would just be doing ketamine on my couch just because, and then I'd be up till 4 AM. I mean, it's like I would do it that night, have a day to recover, and then do it all over again.
Mm.
That cycle is just painful.
So and so you just walked away from it?
I did. I did. That is my personality type. When I decided to quit smoking, I just quit smoking. Like, I was like, I'm done. I'm done smoking. I'm never gonna touch this again.
That
I
is amazing.
yeah, I don't know what has programmed me that way, but, like, when I am done with something, my brain's like, "All right, shut off. You're done."
That I mean, I'm in
Yeah.
awe
Yeah.
of that you just and at the age that you did it.
Because you've been, what, 29 about
Uh,
then?
about 28, 29.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I, when I quit drinking, I did not know that when you quit drinking, you start craving sugar.
Oh, yeah.
So remember I remember when I quit drinking, I was like, "Man, like, quitting drinking, like, was no problem," but I was like, ever since then, I've just been like, I remember going to Chick-fil-A and getting, like, chocolate milkshakes at, like, 9:30 at night and being like, "I guess this is better than drinking alcohol," because it was
Yeah.
so strange, but I wasn't in any program. I had no idea, like, this was even normal. I just knew, like, "Okay, well, I'm not drinking alcohol, so, like, I'll just drink a milkshake instead."
Well, and I would tell you, I mean, as a coach, I would pick that over, and I remember going through that and going, "Oh my gosh, I gotta stop." But I was drinking so much that it counteracted, so it was like, "Oh, well, I could kinda eat as much sweets as I wanted because I was drinking."
I think it was more pronounced with myself because I
Yeah.
wasn't a sweets
Yeah,
person. Like, I wasn't a candy, sweet, sugar person. And oh my gosh, I was the biggest Willy Wonka junkie you'd ever want to meet in your life, man. Whew.
Were you really?
Oh,
Oh, it was
it was
hilarious
bad.
because he would never like, um, well, you didn't drink coffee.
No
You did not eat you rarely had, like,
sugar.
sugar. You really
Was
maybe
that?
occasionally have an ice cream cone or
Yeah,
something like that, and then all of a sudden, he turned into, like, this
ice cream,
ice
cookies,
cream
licorice,
yeah, I mean,
chocolate.
just
Oh,
every night, and he quit 9 months after me,
Oh,
and
so you
so
went
I had kind
you had lived through it twice.
yeah, oh, no. I
Oh,
I quit going and actually, this is kind of funny, today is my 5th anniversary being alcohol free.
congratulations. That's
Thanks. Yeah,
fantastic.
it's yeah. So, I mean, and let me just say, you did this at 28. I did it at almost 52.
Right.
It's
So,
unbelievable.
I'm just going to tell you that I think it's astronomical that you at that age did that because of the pressure and everything because I it was just this is how I lived my life. And I think it's so wonderful for you to be able to raise your child and as a somebody who is completely and utterly present for them at all moments.
It's
So,
truly one of the biggest blessings, and I thank God for it every day. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I thank God for it every
I
day. We
yeah.
we don't we don't do screen time, which I have nothing against that. I'm never hungover, and I just sit with her every day, and it's just like I soak up every moment that I can.
Mm.
Oh, it's the greatest blessing.
I
It's so
yes.
fantastic.
So I'm curious. All right, so you've quit all of the everything.
Yeah.
You've moved. You got away from all your friends, so now you're kind of solitary.
You hold on. Did you go through withdrawal?
Um, I think I went through withdrawal with, I won't say alcohol withdrawal, although I did crave sugar, but I mean, I quit smoking weed, I quit doing ecstasy, I quit doing Suboxone, I quit doing ketamine, I didn't touch mushrooms. Like, I think I missed the withdrawal I had was like, holy crap, I have all these emotions that I haven't really fully dealt with, and I'm looking in the mirror and I don't know what to do. Like, I think I had definitely, I mean, I was obviously coping with a lot
Mhm.
of things,
Right.
and the withdrawals that hit me from that were just, it's, that is unexplainable. Like,
Yeah.
that is life changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and let's, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about that. What
So
was that like to have to feel again?
it was really hard because when my mom died, I was, my dad immediately put me on Lexapro. So I didn't really have time to like feel, and the feelings I did feel
Mm.
were very, very shallow, like just very muted. I got off Lexapro when I was 21, but I was still drinking, doing drugs, coping. So at 28, I quit everything. I'm not on any sort of antidepressant, and it is just like, oh my gosh, it is a wave of consciousness you've never felt before. So
Mhm.
um, it was really hard. I had to come to terms with a lot of life choices I made.
Mm.
And you go through feeling like a failure. You go through feeling like you just wasted your years, your time. And it's like, okay, what do I do now to repair the damage I have done in this space, in this time? Like, how can I move forward? How can I make up to be a better version of myself? You know,
Mhm.
so that was a really eye opening moment in my life. Like, holy cow.
Did did you did you go to therapy or anything?
I've been in therapy on and off for years.
Okay.
I think therapy is great for a lot of people, but I think when you know what you've done and you're already come to terms with it, like sometimes it's just like you're just going and saying the things and they're like, yeah, this can help. And you're like, I know. Like I know. But so I went to therapy and it did help to a certain extent. But I think for me, just because I'm just able to like turn my brain off and be like, all right, now you have to do this. That was just the best thing for me. Like therapy was great,
Mhm.
but nothing was going to change unless I just went full force and like dealt with it. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Good for you. I mean, you are so wise beyond your years.
Way more guts than I got. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that much.
Yeah.
Especially at that age of
Yeah.
28, 29. Forget about
Yeah.
it.
I'm blown away by what you're saying there and like the regrets. Regret. Oh, yeah. I mean, regret.
Yeah.
It still comes up being able to say, you know what? I can't live back in that anymore. And all I can do is just move forward and just keep going and be the best version of myself now.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
And it's hard, it's hard because I feel like in some instances, like it'll never be good enough to make up for what's happened. It's like, but I know that's just how brains work, and so that's not
Yep.
reality. Like, you just have to accept that thought and be like, "Okay, like, let's shake that off, be proud of yourself, keep moving, don't get hung up on the past."
Mhm. Yeah.
Easier said than
I know. I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
So
Matt.
so you're, as the kids say, raw dogging your emotions now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and you've kind of had to leave all of your crew behind because they're still doing that, and you've kind of moved locations. So was some of the so at some point, tell us a story like how you met your now husband, and did that sort of play into your finding a need for this new app that you created?
Yes and no. My husband tried to date me for a year before I actually went out on a date with him. I used to have a pretty large Instagram following, and he started following me on Instagram and messaged me, and I was not going to meet a stranger from the internet. Like I was like, because he lived in Texas and I lived in North Carolina, so I was like, I am not going to fly to Texas or have you come here. So we messaged on and off for like a year. And eventually I was like, okay, if this man wanted to kill me, he would have done it already. You know what I mean? Like if he was like stalking me to come kidnap me or something, like he would have done it already. And he does not drink. He's never been drunk. He's never done a drug in his life. He's incredible in that aspect. I mean, just like he was like, yeah, it just seems weird to me to be out of control. And I'm like, oh, okay. Amazing. I wish I had felt that same way. But so we started dating, and I mean, instantly fell in love. It was, I mean, I had never experienced like love at first sight, but when I actually met him in person, I was like, whoosh, it hit me so hard.
Oh,
And and so he was like, all right, you're moving to Texas. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. And so I moved to Texas, and it became such a struggle to make friends.
okay.
Like it was funny because I had everything I wanted except friends. I mean, I have
Mm.
this incredible man. I'm living out in the country. I get to have animals. I'm sober. I'm going back to school. Like I have this dream life. I'm just blessed in so many aspects. I'm getting back in touch with church. I'm like, I have this amazing relationship with God, but I have no friends. Like I have no friends.
Oh.
And I just struggled and I struggled and I struggled and I still struggle to this day. And the people I meet will be like, let's go have a drink. And I'm like, I don't want to go have a drink. I don't want to.
Mhm.
So eventually I was like, all right, you know what? I'm doing something about this. Like, I'm going to make an app for us out in the country sober folk to meet people, connect. And like, we can't drive 3 hours to an event every weekend. Like we have to find a place for us. So that's how it kind of started.
That would have been a fun name of the app, Country Sober Folk.
Well, it's just you guys know you said you live not in a major
Yeah.
city.
Yeah, we live in, it's
Central Illinois.
yeah,
Yeah.
Central Illinois. I mean, Bloomington, Illinois. It's in the middle of the cornfields.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it's a nice community. It's a
I mean, there's
great
big
community.
business here, but outside of the
Yeah.
city lines, you're in cornfields. So
Yeah.
for that.
And it's really there is not that outlet. And I mean, we've said this before, but like we used to go to breweries. That's what we did. But now you can't go there because there's no option for you. And that's when Matt like went to a local brewery and said, "Hey, would you mind carrying something for us? The people who want to go and we like this. We want to go to a pub. We want to hang out with our friends, but we have no option."
Yeah.
And they were like, the guy was like, "Oh, great. Yeah. I've just been waiting for somebody to ask."
So that's what you did. You just made an app. You just solved the problem,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, and so like when Matt has like work things or different stuff like that, that's the place that he would always
Well,
suggest, "Hey, let's go here."
and now they all do because
And now that picked up. So now most of the restaurants, and you had one restaurant that said no. Well, guess what? Now they are. I mean, it took like about 2 or 3 years later, but now they have it. So it's happening, but it's still not the same. I mean, and if you go to a fundraiser or something like that, forget it. I mean, you're going to be lucky if you can get club soda. I mean, at some of these.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but so I think it's so cool that you said, "I'm going to do this. I've created this app." And is the app right now just for what in your area, or how does it
well,
work?
first off, hold on,
Or
back up.
oh,
How do
sorry.
you even create this app? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to make an app. Yeah, cool. Well, I don't even know where to start. Like, is your
Me
husband a
neither.
developer, or how did
Yeah,
you have that process work?
I can barely use my iPhone. I had to like literally, I was like Googling app companies. I am not a tech person. I went back to school for nursing. Okay. Like I'm not a tech person at all. Um, So I reached out to a company in California. I've learned a lot of lessons, a lot of business lessons. Okay. So the app is finished, it's completed. But what I'm doing is I'm just launching in small areas first. Like, I want there to be lots of people on the app when it launches. A lot of people create an app, they're like, okay, well, we're just going to launch it. And there's nobody on the app for you to connect with. So you get on there and there's nobody. So what we're doing right now is just building and building and building and building in Austin, Texas. I'm building a community inside the app so that when you log on, there's actually people for you to meet versus just launching it, hoping and praying that people show up, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
who's the app for? Is it specifically for? I think when we read the news thing, it was more about dating, but is it more also about connection, or like who are you targeting, or who are the ones other than obviously right now Austin people? Who's it for?
It's for friendship and dating. I personally have more of a attachment to the friendship side because that's where this app came from. I mean, that's where this need happened, was just to make friends. You guys know how hard sobriety
Yeah.
is. Imagine if you didn't have one another, and imagine if you didn't have sober friends. I mean, I spent a lot of lonely nights not
Hmm.
having anyone to spend time with. So that is who that app is for. It's for people who can't always make sober events, busy moms, people that are shy. I mean, going to a sober event when you're newly sober can be overwhelming. You don't
Yeah.
know how to socialize without alcohol. So it's
Yeah.
like, so I just created this app for people to get comfortable in their sobriety, to get comfortable making sober friends. And if you want to date someone too, there's that option for it as well.
Yeah. It's really interesting. We were at our small group the other night, and we have there's 7 couples, and but 3 couples
Mm-hmm.
are newly married. Yeah,
Yeah,
all,
all married.
all newly married, but they were all talking about how they met each other and like swiping, like,
Or
oh,
various
one
various dating apps. Yeah.
various different
Yeah.
dating apps, but like, how am I going to find a Christian man or woman that I can connect with, or that
Yeah.
that was their aspect. But it was so timely then to have us be doing this interview with you. But it's so true though, like the relationship thing. It's like it took me so long. It took me like till 2 years ago to be at an event, not even an event, it was like a work event, a networking for small businesses, solopreneurs, to find one gal who had just quit drinking, and I was at, like, I think 3 years, and then someone else that I knew who just said, she goes, "Oh, I've never drank."
Oh,
I
good for
it's
her.
like I and so she's like, "I'm here for you too." Like, like rooting us on.
Yeah.
So but it's still, at least I have that now, but it's just so prevalent that we can't do anything without alcohol. And it's even in I've worked with women who it's in their small groups. It's, through church. It's like I mean, we were the group, we were the 2 to join a small group. Our requirement, oh, we got to join a small group that drinks
Yep.
or we're not going.
Right, of course, because those people are boring if I mean, we don't wanna sit around a bunch of sober
Exactly.
people, they're boring,
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
oh, yeah.
And that's been like it's crazy.
Well, and we got married in 1999, so we're not really down with the apps. Like we didn't. So if somebody logs in and signs up for the app, and specifically in the Austin area for right now, like what's the experience? You just build a profile like a normal one. Like how would I find a sober buddy to go bowling with or whatever?
So it's not
Yeah.
launched yet. You go to the
Okay.
website www.aboveapp.net and you create a pre-launch profile. You go in. It basically you create your profile, and then as soon as I'm like, all right, hit the big green button, the launch button, it'll be like, hey, we're here. Come find your friends, and then you just swipe. There's um sober apps out there that are, I think, more like recovery based.
Okay.
This is not recovery based.
Okay.
This is simply sober based. If you, because I think recovery is so delicate and so different for everyone. And since I never went through a program, I don't feel comfortable being like, "Hey, here's a recovery app," you know? I just
Sure.
struggled and drank chocolate milkshakes. Like, I didn't,
Well,
recover.
and I think that's really wise because I think a lot of people, like you and the two of us, we were like, well, we're not in recovery. We were like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, we
yeah.
were like gray area drinkers. Hey, don't, I'm not, so that label, I think, I think it's great from what you're saying. Like, I don't want to be in charge of a recovery app.
No, because I didn't
Yeah. And then,
experience it that way.
hmm yeah.
But I like what you're saying too, because when I first started telling people I didn't drink, they're like, "Oh, so you're sober?" And I'd be like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, I just don't like. I'm not an alcoholic. Like,
Yeah,
like
all
don't.
Don't label me
the
alcoholic.
labels are a big challenge, and so
And that's
yeah, yeah.
hard. And I'm like, "Well, if you wanna call me that, fine, but, I wasn't, and I don't identify as that." And, I
Yeah,
mean, and if you really look, alcohol use disorder, I mean, that's what it is. It's,
I was absolutely an alcoholic. Like, I was absolutely an alcoholic. I just didn't fit the textbook alcoholic definition. But if you had told me that 3 years ago, I'd be like, no, 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 that was not me. That is something I've really had to come to terms with. Like, that's the funniest thing is like,
yeah.
yes, Laura, you were an alcoholic. You couldn't just have one drink.
But I love how you say you were. You're not willing to, like, take it on, like, forever. Like, I'm
Yeah,
no. It's like, "No, I'm not I I don't drink anymore. I don't do this anymore, so I'm not wearing a label."
Yes,
So,
yeah,
correct.
I don't know.
yeah, like
That's just
yeah, it's been a weird journey. Like, getting used to that has just been, it's hard some days,
yeah.
like, first admitting, like, "Okay, you're sober," and then admitting, like, "Oh, yeah, you were," like, you can't just have 1 drink, like, something is wrong there, So it's
Yeah.
a never-ending journey.
Yeah, and it's great to have conversations like this too because it's so nuanced. I mean, everybody is different. No one has the same story, but we're all when you finally come to terms like, this isn't working for me.
Well, and the thing I like about your app is
Yeah.
we a lot of us learned to build relationships around using alcohol, right? Like, let's go get a drink, or hey, have a beer at the bar. That alcohol always is like kind of hinge pin, right? So having an app like yours helps bridge that gap, right? Because as you experienced, and many of us, it's like, okay, how do I go out with my friends and not drink? How do I find friends who, maybe they do have an occasional beer, but aren't like drinkers, right, per se, right? So they'll go out, they're open to doing sober activities, right? And so I think that's really a need that you're filling there. That's becomes a challenge, other than sugar, becomes a challenge when you quit drinking.
And so then the next step you have once everything launches and this is going to be successful and it's fabulous, then is the goal like, okay, let's go to this area and let's go to this other area. Is that in the works? Is that a thought?
Oh, I mean, I want this to be the place that everyone who is sober and is looking for friends comes to. It's like, okay, we'll start in Austin, then we'll go to Dallas. We'll tackle, Dallas, and then I want to go to LA. I think there is a massive need. I have significant beef with the term California sober. We won't get into that right now, but that is like so I'm like, all right, let's get to California and just help with that. So I mean, the idea for above is huge. It is huge. My
Awesome.
imagination is huge. What I manifest is huge. What I see and feel is huge. So for me, this is just the beginning. I'm okay with taking baby steps before it becomes a full on sprint, So I'm excited for all of it.
Well,
That
we have a little town north of us called Chicago
yeah.
that might be a good one too.
Chicago. I might have heard of that. I used to go to Chicago when I lived in Ohio. It's just a 5-hour drive. Ate mushrooms in Chicago. I poured wine in a Coke can and toured several of the museums in Chicago when I was there. So it'll be interesting to go back to Chicago and be completely sober.
It
Yeah.
is interesting going to Chicago completely sober.
Probably a little safer. Probably a little safer too.
And it is. I would say it's a lot safer now
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
completely present in a ginormous city.
Yes.
That
yes.
is it. It's crazy.
So walk me back through the steps. Right now, you're in the kind of pre-launch. So people go to what's the website again?
It's www.aboveapp.net. So you go there, you're going to see our little video, and you scroll down, it'll say create a pre-launch profile. So you go in, you fill out your information, upload your photos, and then from there, you just kind of wait till you receive the email. It's like, hey, it's time, come meet your friends, and so you'll get a notification. And then from that point on, you'll be able to find your sober friends or your sober romantic partner.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's we'll move from Austin to Dallas, hopefully to LA. And then I'd really like to get back into Ohio. The Midwest has a pretty serious need for sobriety. So
Yeah, I can say so.
you know.
So if during your pre-launch and going to your pre-app part, are you only taking Austintonians, or can anybody who has interest submit, and then they may just be waiting longer for their opportunity?
So anyone can sign up. And I think
Okay.
that's great. And I definitely advise people to sign up. I didn't want to make it, like I said, and just launch it globally and then there only be like 5 people in there. Like maybe
Sure.
people
Sure.
in Wyoming haven't heard of this yet, and there's just one person and they're sitting hearing crickets waiting for someone, so
Right.
it's like
Right.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
doing marketing in Austin, then we'll do marketing in Dallas. I just want it to be full and fruitful for everybody who has signed up.
Sure. But if I have interest here in the cornfields, I can put my name in and just wait to see
Please.
when you show up, right?
Yes.
That's great. So all of our listeners can go there still, regardless if they live in Austin or not,
Yep.
and fill out your pre-app, and at least show the interest and the love that may come their way.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. So we're super excited. It's moving. It's moving quicker than I expected, which is good and nerve-wracking, but it's on its way.
Oh, well,
So-
I hope that someday that we're going to be at an event with you so we can meet in person. And but
But you're
this,
sponsoring
yeah.
the bar,
Oh yes,
the Sands bar down there, right? You guys are.
yeah. I wish this was coming out before the event because it's. Go ahead and you tell us about the event you're sponsoring.
So Sandbar, it's a pop-up in San Antonio. Have you guys been to San Antonio?
I've
No.
not.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. You'll have to come. You'll have to all the bitters is there, and I know there's a vegan restaurant that's going to be there as well. So I'm just sponsoring the happy hour, which is fantastic. I'm so excited, and Chris is just a
It's
doll.
gonna
Like
be.
he's the best. So it's going to be super fun, and then I'm going to go back and sponsor Cincinnati as well because that's where I'm from. So that's going to be.
When is Cincinnati?
That's
Oh,
closer-ish.
yes. It is May 24th.
There you go. Road trip,
I
lady.
gotta write that down.
Write that down. There you go. All right.
Because
Recommendations
that,
on where to stay. I can tell you all the things.
All right.
that is awesome. Thank you so much for being on here
Hold
with
on.
us.
She hasn't answered the last question.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the official last question, since you're not drinking alcohol and other materials, what is your go-to NA drink these days?
Okay. When I was at Mindful Drinking Fest in DC, I got introduced to a tequila, and I feel like I'm going to butcher the name, and I feel so bad, but I think it's Tomo Tomo tequila. Um,
I haven't heard that one.
no, I'm
Look
butchering
at
it.
it.
No, I'm butchering it. Anyways, it's an NA tequila. When I just drank tequila straight, or on the rocks with an orange. So when I tasted this tequila, I will send you guys the name. It's incredible. It is the most, I think, realistic tequila I've ever tasted. It's so good. So I like
That's
that.
saying something.
I like that on the rocks with an orange. It's
And
really good.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's probably got a little bit of a burn then.
It's smoky. I won't lie. It definitely has like that good smoke to it. It's from Mexico, and it is just
Okay.
incredible.
Awesome. Ooh.
Which reminds me, I have some Trejo I need to
Yeah,
drink
you're gonna
now.
have to send that to us because
Yeah,
we would love to do
a good
that.
NA spirit is hard to find. There's a lot of them, but a good one is hard to find. Monday has a good rum. Tanqueray has their good gin. This may be the tequila.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, tried tons of NA liquors, and I just think they're like not
They're
good.
pretty. They're mostly miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends. Like you found that Kentucky 74
74. Their cinnamon one is
that
pretty good.
you like.
Yeah, because the cinnamon kind of adds that little bite.
Sure.
But I mean, I'm somebody who people think I'm crazy. I mean, I drink lime and salt water all the time. I just
Salt water?
I put Himalayan salt, a couple, just a little bit,
Yeah.
just one twist, and I squeeze a lime in my water and I drink it all day.
She's
Like
not getting scurvy, I'll tell you that much.
I drink it all day. I think there is something because I was a tequila girl too,
Okay.
and I'm just like but I think what I really loved the most was I loved that little bit of salt and lime taste, and I love it. So people are like, "You do
Try
what?"
that.
I
No.
love a little salt and lime. It's great for getting real electrolytes to have.
I think you guys are kindred spirits. You got
Yeah,
the tequila,
it's
the salt,
so-
the lime. I mean, we got a fiesta going on
No,
right
well, we're gonna. I want to keep talking to you. This is so much fun, and we just really, really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Our goal is always that we just want to help one person. That's the whole thing around the Alcohol Free Marriage and More podcast, and hopefully, like I said, we're gonna be in contact and give you a real hug someday.
Yes, I would love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for having me. I genuinely appreciate it. I love that you're my first podcast. You guys have been a breeze to talk to. I was a nervous wreck, but you have made me feel so comfortable. So thank you so much. You guys are fantastic.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Alaura, for being on the Alcohol Free Marriage and More podcast.
What a story.
So, I mean,
And
not just an alcohol thing, like all the things.
but being spontaneous sobriety.
Yeah, I don't know.
Holy.
You don't hear many of those stories.
And at her age, and just saying, I'm just done, walking away.
Yep.
The courage that she had to put on and all of that, I think it's amazing. She is just, she's going to be doing a lot of things, and
Yeah,
it's
I can't wait for
super
the-
exciting to have her be the first interview. Our little podcast. So
I can't wait for the app to make it to the cornfields.
Yeah, we just want to thank her, and reach out. You can sign up. The app isn't officially launched yet.
The URL is down below.
Yeah, but you can sign up. You can get there. So when it comes to your community,
There you go.
you'll be able to get signed up, and I'm sure it's going to start taking off.
Oh,
so
100%. All right, kids. We'll go down. Yeah, go to that link in the description and sign up and get your profile built, so at least you're on the list and show the interest in your
Absolutely.
community. Until next time, I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy. Wish you peace and love from the cornfields, and we are
out.